Local Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Hughes, with my co-host,
Jonathan Parker.
where our skills are questionable.
But our spirit is unstoppable.
Well, Jonathan, once again, welcome to episode
Hey,
7.
where we at?
And we're at No Bells. We appreciate No Bells for hosting our podcast. And you ever want to come out and join us, guys? Come join out, join us live. We'd appreciate all the support we can get. And we got to thank Melissa for sure for once from No Bells for giving us access to come out here and enjoy this and share our information with you guys.
Absolutely. And try to grow this, Michael. I mean, we want you guys to come out. We're here to support local athletes, local sports. We're going to touch on a little college. We'll touch on a little pro. But, man, I'm so excited to be here tonight. Looks like a lot of good food, a lot of good family fun. Man, I'm so excited to be here.
Man, I can't wait to get going here. And we're going to start tonight with our Infinity Promotions recaps and highlights. You don't have to go right ahead.
So, there was a lot of rain over the weekend, Hurricane Helene. And also, before we get into that, I'd like to say a moment, thoughts and prayers out to those that have been affected by the storm. Man, there's just been a lot of devastation all over the state of Tennessee, other states. But, man, just get with your local Red Cross and try to help support these people that are in dire need of your help, before we get into this.
So, yeah, I 100% agree with you. All our thoughts and prayers are out to everybody all the way up to the southeast, that had the effects of this.
Absolutely. So with that being said, let's get into some scores. So Clay County with a 21-6 win over Monroe County, Kentucky. Jackson County with a 28-0 win over Trousdale County. Lebanon with a 27-7 win over Watertown. Perry County 26-0 over Red Bull and Springs. Stone Memorial, which I think was a big upset this week, with a big 31-15 win over DeKalb County. DeKalb County came in undefeated. Goes, I think it was at Stone Memorial, wasn't it?
No, it was at DeKalb.
It was at DeKalb.
It was at DeKalb.
And Stone Memorial put it on them. So that was a big surprise there. White County, another surprise, 34-18 over Macon County. Upperman with a big 51-12 win over Cumberland County. Westmoreland 36, Liberty Creek 0. And then, of course, our local games, Monterey 21, Gordonsville 0, and East Robb 27, Smith County 8. And Michael, I guess we'll get started on our recap of those. And that's the Infinity Promotions recap of the week.
Yeah, we'll start on the Smith County side, and you look at the weather coming in, that's going to be a factor. And East Robb comes in, and those guys, they got speed, right? There's speed all over the place.
Absolutely.
So you look at it, and you see the rain and the wind, and East Robertson come in, and they was pretty stout. I mean, they come in, they had some fast guys, and they broke one long run on the first possession of the game, and after that, Smith County's defense kind of stifled them a little bit and held them, made them work for what they needed, but Smith County's offense just never get going at all.
Right, and it's just so hard. When it was raining like it was, I mean, it was raining in sheets almost. And, football's hard enough, but you add elements like that, and it was just tough. It was just a very tough night for the Owls.
Yeah, it was. And, once again, it's a region game for Smith County. And, they lose their first region game. And it's tough that you have somebody like that come in, and when the weather don't help and your field conditions don't help, and, Smith County's offense wasn't clicking come Friday night. And, East Robb's defense was pretty stifling. I mean, I saw those guys, and even though the weather and the field was like it was, their speed was out showing.
Right. And I mean, you look at the stats, you had the Casey Young kid had 10 carries, 121 yards. I mean, he broke the real long one. But talking about field conditions, we got the new field down there, and it looks like it's holding up pretty good, even though with all the rain that we had.
Yeah, you can see that, with that much the wet weather come in, you did see some chunks come up. We'll talk to Coach Dyer about this when he comes on here in a little bit. But you did see some chunks come up. But, Smith County's defense, I felt like, played a pretty solid game. I mean, overall, to hold East Robb and their speedsters, to under, 300 yards total offense.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's pretty good in my opinion. Gates Gibbs, I think, had a pick. And, Cole Hackett played really great in the backside of the defense for Smith County, caused a fumble, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, Smith County's defense really came to play. It's just their offense still's not clicking. And we'll talk to Coach Dyer about this. The injury bug did set in come Friday night.
Yes. And hopefully, got some good news on Riley. I think he got knocked out of the game, but I think all reports were coming back positive on his injury.
It did, and you saw a couple of young guys come in, and then, like I said, we'll talk to Coach Dyer about this more later on in the broadcast. But with Stephen Martin had to come in to play quarterback for them, and then you go one dimensional at that point, right? You're a running team. They didn't let him throw the ball at all. So that kind of brings you down just a little bit.
Right, and it comes back to that point that this young experience each week. It's just going to get better and better and better.
Yeah. So we'll move over to the south side of the county here, and Gornsville having Monterey come in. It was supposed to be homecoming, well, the field or the weather, moved that back to in October. But Monterey comes in and beats Gornsville 21-0. Gornsville's offense played okay. But Monterey came in and run an old school, run it down your throat kind of offense, and Gornsville didn't have an answer.
Here it is. If we're going to punch you in the mouth, we're going to see how you respond. And that's the way that game kind of went. I mean, you look at it, 46 rushes for 248 yards. I mean, the Gornsville defense, that's – we talked about it last week with DeKalb. DeKalb kind of hit them in the mouth. You get a Monterey team, they're big, they're physical. They're physical up front. They're going to hit you in the mouth. And that's exactly what they done Friday night.
It did, and you look at it too though. Gornsville's offense, they was in their own territory 3 times, but inside the 10 twice, and didn't score. When you get down there, and I'm sure Coach Jackson will say this as well. When you get down inside the 5, you got to punch those in.
Right.
And they didn't. Then you do that. It's a 1-score game instead of a 3-score game, and you don't know how it affects if you get those 2 touchdowns in, and you got a tie ball game of what the outcome is then.
And you look at some of the positives from it. I mean, even in the rain, even in the wet conditions, Jay still had a great game. He was 11 of 17 for 118 yards. I mean, in that type environment, that's pretty solid play from your quarterback.
Yeah, and we look at it too, and I'll mention this, Coach Jackson. Bryson Grissom, their starting tailback, did not play at all. He's out. We don't know how long he's out for. So you missed that 722 yards of total offense and 10 touchdowns. That's huge.
That's very huge.
And especially with those weather conditions, you're going to run the ball, and if you don't have your starting tailback in there, it's got to play a little part.
And it takes that. It's that next man up mentality. Jamario had been playing great. We didn't really. I mean, looking at his stats, I mean, he only had 42 yards. It's solid, but probably need a little bit more production there. I know Gornsville, but they want to get that there. So,
Yeah, and they will. Like I say, next week. They go to Forest, which is a nice 2A team who right now I think is 5-1 on the season, and I'm not sure Coach Jackson's going to look at improving all that stuff. The penalty bug came back in, looked like they did have a few penalties there for almost 100 yards in total penalties. We talked about that with the Cavs as well. They had that same issue, and I'm sure Coach Jackson is going to work on this to get this fixed.
Absolutely. I mean, penalties are key at this age. You got to get that cleaned up quick.
Yeah, we're sitting there, and we can't forget, during the game we had a Monterey player that got carted off during the game. Prayers up to that kid and hope he's good to go. And you don't ever want to see any injury in a football game, but to see a kid get carted off, that's pretty tragic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so prayers out to those guys.
Absolutely. So that's our high school. I just wanted to touch on a couple of college games from the week. Memphis with a big 24-7 over MTSU. Tennessee Tech with a big 52-21 win over Gardner-Webb. And, of course, Michael, the game of the year so far, you had Alabama and Georgia last night. Alabama's up big, 30-7 going in, second half. 30-15 in the third quarter. You think, well, this is over. Alabama makes a huge run and goes ahead. I mean, Georgia makes a big run to get ahead. And then Ryan Williams. I mean, what else can you say about that kid?
When I was talking to somebody on the phone today. Ryan Williams is a 17-year-old 17-year-old kid who finished high school early, where he could early enroll and come out and have a standout performance like that for Alabama and score the game-winning touchdown. That's huge for a 17-year-old kid.
Absolutely.
And you look at it. We're talking about Alabama and Georgia, and I mentioned to my wife. We go back. We talk about Tennessee all the time. Tennessee 2 years ago jumps up on Alabama 28-0, and Alabama comes roaring back. And I told my wife, said, what do you bet that Georgia comes roaring back and takes the lead? And sure enough, they sure did.
And it was just a fantastic football game to watch. I mean, so much excitement. And again, I mean, hats off to that game. The game of the year so far. Of course, Tennessee was off this week. Look forward to Arkansas next week. But man, that Alabama-Georgia game, and again, not an Alabama fan and not a Georgia fan, but as a college football fan, that was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I made the comment numerous times, can they both lose? Because I'd love to see them both lose if that could happen.
Absolutely.
But you look at Alabama, they jumped to number 1 this week. They bypassed Texas, who had a pretty good game with Mississippi State there for a few minutes, but you bypass and you take the number 1 slot from Texas. pretty big in my opinion.
And you look at Kalen DeBoer. I mean, kind of was handed the keys to a Lamborghini and just say, "Don't wreck it." I mean, you follow in the footsteps of Nick Saban. Just don't mess it up.
And you saw the driver of the old Lamborghini was up in the press box too. You saw Nick Saban up there too.
Absolutely.
I'm sure he enjoyed that as well. But that has to be by far so far the game of the year.
Absolutely. And then you look in the pros. The Titans play tomorrow night. That our local teams. They play Monday night. So we'll see how that comes out tomorrow. Hopefully they'll get their first win.
And we'll have Coach Jackson come in with us here in just a couple minutes. But to move back into our high school and just focus on what going forward from here. Start with the Smith County side. They're 1-5. They're 1-1 in region play. They've got I think we go to Upperman this week, and the schedule don't get any easier.
No.
You go from East Robb, who's a great team, then you got go to Upperman, who's number 3, or let me see, I think I was number 3 number 3 in 4A. I mean, it don't get any easier for you.
No, it don't. And Upperman's they're rolling. It's going to be tough. You got to go up there. It's always tough, and they always want to beat us for whatever reason. They're a bigger school than us, but they always seem really excited when they beat Smith County in any sport.
Yeah, and it's they got their quarterback is one of the best high school quarterbacks that I've seen in a long time, and we Smith County's defense is going to be out to prove something there, hopefully, but it's going to be just slow them down because you're not going to stop them.
Right.
You just got to slow them down.
Well, and you hope the injury to Riley is not huge. It keeps him out. Yeah. Because the learning experience he's going to get, continue to grow, continue to get better. He needs reps with his wide receivers, with his running backs, with his line. So hopefully he's there to tote the rock on Friday.
Yeah, we hope he is too. Probably if he's all clear. His mom and dad said his scan was all clear, so hopefully he's back in practice this week and he's good to go there because they need Riley at quarterback. Because like we said, when Riley goes out, you pretty much go one dimensional. You look at you have a couple kids you can bring in to play quarterback. Jermaine Casey, who played quarterback back in the spring for him while Matt Riley was still in baseball, so you can bring Jermaine in, but it's still not your quarterback.
Well, and you go to the other side of the river. Gordonsville travels to Forest.
Travels to Forest. Yep.
They're number 1 in their region. They're unbeaten and pretty positive. They have a freshman running back that is tearing it up. Yep. I mean, just you look across the board, his stats are elite, and they're going to have their hands full Friday night.
They are going to have their hands full, and Forest is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Gordonsville might have played Forest last year and beat Forest. So I'm sure they're looking out for a little revenge. And you got to go to Forest, which is a road game. You're coming off 2 losses back-to-back at home. You got to right the ship. And right now is the time to right the ship. Is it a region game? No, but you got to right the ship sometime.
Right. You got to get back on track.
You got to get back on track.
It's time to get back on track, and get ready.
Yeah, and I'm sure Coach Jackson, he'll have his guys ready to play and ready to go. And Forest is not going to be an easy game. They've had 3 straight tough games in a row as well. You look at Smith County's schedule, we had 3 straight tough games. Now Gordonsville has 3 straight tough games and all out of region play for Gordonsville. You go 4A DeKalb, you go 2A or 3A Monterey, now you go 2A Forest. So
not afraid to play up the competition.
No.
I mean, and that's only going to make you better in the long run.
It is. It is only going to make you better in the long run. And we like I say, we know Coach Jackson will right the ship, and it's trying to stay a little bit local here, a little bit outside of play. We're actually going to have Chuck Gentry, head coach for Lebanon football, tonight with us. He's going to be on stage with us tonight. Talk about the Lebanon football team, and Chuck's probably not having a season up to his standards like he wants right now, but they go. I think he goes to. I was looking at where he went next week, and I can't remember where
at Wilson Central.
At Wilson Central next week. So it's another region game for those guys.
Well, and it's a inter-county.
Inter-county, and
it's tough because they're 5 minutes apart.
Battle of Wilson County. You talk about the Battle of Wilson County, and there's a Battle of Wilson County, and that Lebanon and Wilson Central has always been a rivalry game since ever Wilson Central opened up their doors.
Absolutely, and really excited to talk to Chuck. I had Chuck as a student teacher back in the day, and he was fantastic to talk to. He knows a lot about football, knows a lot about sports, and I know he's got the Lebanon program. It may be down a little bit this year, but I know he's really ready and really excited about what's in his future.
And you look at some of the players that he's had go through his program. You look at Zion Logue, who's a Georgia standout now with Atlanta Falcons, and it's a testament of what he's built there at Lebanon. So kudos to him and what he's done so far. Coming from Smith County, going to Cookeville, now at Lebanon, it's just a testament of what he's done.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's got a couple of local boys on his staff.
I believe that's right. Yeah, I believe that's right.
And I think one of them's Carson Haggett. I think Carson will come on with us later on in our podcast.
Yep, and we're still waiting on Coach Jackson to join us. Looks like Coach Jackson's in the room here, and we'll let him in, and we'll get started with Coach Jackson. Coach Jackson, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing good. I know we talked about a little bit of your last week's game or this past Friday night's game against Monterey. It's a tough game. They come in, weather conditions, a tough 2A Monterey team. Just talk about a little bit of how the game went, what you saw, and how do you move on from this game.
Yeah, it was. The weather's a factor, but the weather's a factor in every ball game Friday night, every game Thursday night, every game Saturday. So it was, a game where we started fast. I mean, we was able to drive the ball down, get inside the 10. Actually, I think to the 2-yard line. They did a good job of holding us, and then they went on a 98-yard drive or whatever it was, and made, went up. We had them, I think it was 2nd and 15, 2nd and 20, and, big running back that weighs about 210, took a couple kids for a ride and, spun out of a tackle and made a long run. But it was a game where we had our chances. We was inside the 10 twice. We was, our defense got stops when we needed to get stops. We'd have a holding call. We come out the second half. Most important drive is the one after halftime, making adjustments. And we made adjustments and got a stop, and then get a holding call. Drop a ball or something, and just put us in long yardage situations.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting there looking at it, and after I went back and I watched your game, I'm looking at it, and Bryson Grissom being out, so that's 722 yards of total offense that's not in there for you. But just talk about a little bit of what the weather does to your game plan. Does it change anything? Do you keep going status quo, or how does that affect your in-game gut calling?
Yeah, I think the other night it wasn't raining like really hard. I mean, it's obviously muddy. We talked to the kids about making sure that feet are underneath you when you cut, and to make sure your feet's not outside your shoulders. If they're outside your framework, you're going to slip and fall every time. But I mean, I feel like we kept the same game plan, with it not raining really hard. We was able to throw it sometimes we had a ball that was, was slick that we wasn't able to throw, but for the most part, we kept the same game plan. Obviously, it affected us a little bit not being able to throw it as well. But, I don't think you can go into a game like that and say we're not going to throw it at all, especially against a big, strong, physical team like Monterey is. I mean, they've got, I think Coach said 10 seniors, and only, all of them play. Two underclassmen start on both sides. So it's a very mature team. I mean, they had went through some adversity throughout the year with losing 3 games, and responded the right way.
So, Coach, this is Jonathan here. The question I have: do you have any injury update for Bryson?
Yeah, it's an injury that I don't think, he's doing some rehab. Maybe he's got to have surgery on it. So it's, very unfortunate, to have a kid, work his butt off like he has to, go through it and, possibly miss the rest of the senior year. It's a tough situation.
It is, and with him going down, I look at it and I watch. You had a lot of freshmen play. You look at JT Clements come in playing center for you for his first game. It looked like to me there wasn't many bad snaps. It looked good. You had Trevor Booker come in and play running back, and then Jamario Williams, who's not a freshman but comes in and plays, and then the Stott kid who had a few catches for you. So you getting a lot of those freshmen playing again.
Yeah, I mean we have a good senior class of 11 members, and a lot of them participate. They're all on the field, but we had a couple linemen out, like you're saying, that was injured. That we end up having JT Clemens step in at center. He he actually we went into our spring scrimmage this last spring, and as an eighth grader going into his freshman year, stepped in and started that day. So I mean, he's done a really good job. Like I said, there wasn't no bad snaps. I mean, as a freshman going with a slick ball, you expect maybe some bad snaps, but he did a great job. And we're playing a lot of sophomores also, so it's a situation where we have a lot of older kids, but we have a lot of younger kids because last year, these sophomores that are playing started as freshmen, so they're still in the starting lineup or in the playing time, getting a lot of minutes.
So we turned the page to Forest, and what have you seen from them, and what do you expect?
Forest is a really good football team. They're 5-1, lost to White House Heritage. They've had some injuries throughout the year that, watching film, they play a lot of kids, but a lot of, their, I guess, older guys that starters have been out. Not a lot. I mean, they've had 3 or 4 out. They have a really good running back that's a freshman that I think he's got 1,000 yards on the year, maybe more than 1,000 yards. Really good tailback, really shifty, turns around, plays corner for him, plays man-to-man most of the night. They have another running back that's, I think he's listed as 6'3", 215 that played fullback. He was in the wing tee last year. This year, they're more in the spread look, but he's played some running back, really hard to bring down. And they play a couple different quarterbacks. I think the quarterback that they started the year got hurt, but he's getting back. But they play 2 quarterbacks that's really athletic, can run the football or throw the football. So, it's a really good football team. It's going to be a huge challenge going there.
Yeah, we talk about, we know you're coming off 2 straight losses. You want to right the ship now, and I'm sure you're going to do that. I'm sure you're going to have a great week of practice, and we know that going into Forest, I look at the last 2 games, the penalty bugs got you a little bit, right? And I'm sure you're going to address that this week in practice, if I had my guess.
Yes, sir. It's a thing to where, especially at 2 weeks ago against DeKalb, we had 10 penalties. I don't know for sure how many we had the other night, but it was quite a few. And in the situations where, bigger the game, I guess, we're kind of making mistakes. And I mean, it's something that, we talked to the kids about it the other day, like the other night after the game. You're going to hit adversity. You're going to hit adversity in life, and you've got to make adjustments to it. You got to respond the right way. You might get, have something bad happen to you and think you've corrected it, and then you've really not corrected it. So it's all about, and that's why football is great. Great sport to coach. It's all about teaching these kids how to respond in life.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on again. Good luck this week. Let's go 1-0.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. Appreciate you having us on.
Thank you, Coach Jackson.
Thank you.
You hear it. He's ready. He's going to get them ready for next week. You just know that the ship is going to get righted. They're going to be there for Forest, and hopefully get back in that winning.
Yeah, and like I say, we talk about this quite a bit. The penalties, though, 17 penalties in 2 games, over almost 200 yards of penalty, and big penalties at the wrong times. Yes. At the wrong times. But good luck to Coach Jackson and those guys. And we're going to shift gears here to the north side of town. We'll bring up Coach Matt Dyer of our local Smith County High School football here. Coach Dyer, you come on up on stage with us.
Welcome, Coach.
Hey, guys. Appreciate y'all having me on, man. This is pretty neat, pretty cool right here.
Yeah, and like I said, we appreciate you coming on and, talk about a little bit about Friday night. Once again, it didn't go like we wanted it to go. But if you look at it, and, like we'll start with you like we did Coach Jackson, and field conditions, weather conditions, what does that do to you? How did the field play you felt like? And overall, how is it now?
I felt like the field played pretty well. There wasn't a whole lot of slipping and falling going on. I think the only time I saw a guy lose his foot was on the opening kickoff. I believe Gage, caught it and kind of fell down, or I don't remember who it was. But other than that, I feel like the field held up pretty well. And even checking on it Saturday and checking on it tonight and today, Chris Montgomery was able to kind of mow over it, chew up some of that dead stuff, and we're going to roll it tomorrow or Tuesday whenever it dries up a little bit. And, I felt like the field held up very well. The biggest probably condition that we had to battle was just the wet, and we tried to get a new ball in every single play that they allowed us to. But, we had a few bad snaps that I think were affected with the wet ball. We had a few drops that really kind of hindered us in some of our drives. I know early on the pick six was off a tip ball. That would have been a huge first down for us.
Yep.
We had another screen that was set up very, very nice in the first half that, we dropped. That probably would have been a big play or a first down. And I think we had another drop that would have been a first down play. But, we only had one fumble. And I think, East Rob had 4. And,
They did. Yep.
Now I know he's here tonight, but I'm gonna brag on him a little bit. They go Cole Hackett. He caused 2 of those fumbles. He just ripped them out. It was a forced fumble, and we recovered both of those. And the kid played lights out. He probably led us in tackles that night from the safety position. He had a very good night defensively for us, and he put our offense in some great positions to be able to turn the momentum to where we got some extra positions for our offense because of those plays he made. And, he showed a lot of emotion that night. He was very excited in those plays. And you want to see that out of a young kid. You want to see that out of any player on your team to show emotion when they do something good. You celebrate it and you have fun doing it. But, as far as the weather conditions, both of us had to play in them.
Yeah.
And it did affect us a little bit what we wanted to do throwing the ball. We knew what we were going to get out of them coverage wise and how they were going to play it, and felt like we had a lot of good stuff to beat their cover 3 looks and even some of their man looks, and the ball just didn't fall our way sometimes. The 2 quick scores that we gave up back to back, our biggest thing was just consistency. You take weather out of it. We ran the ball pretty well at times. I think we averaged 4 yards a rush. Just we got behind, we couldn't continue to run the ball, and then when Riley went out, it just limited us what we could do in our offense. Having to put Stephen Martin in there, who did a great job being another freshman, going in there and just taking charge of our offense, not turning the ball over, and get the ball to playmakers. And we had a few first downs there in the second half, but it's been the same thing all year. We even going back and watching film. There's at one point we had 5 freshmen on the field at one time.
Yep.
We had Caden Mason, Lucas Cornwell, Stephen Martin, Colt Shoemake, and Rustin Kemp, and that's playing the number 1 team in 2A. So, if anything, these guys are gaining valuable experience. They're getting better. We're playing top-tier competition, and, hardly a lot of teams in the state can't say that they've played every week in, week out, a top 10 team in their respective classification. And here we are playing the number 1 team in 2A in one week. We're playing the number 1 team in 4A the next week. And we're doing it with 5 freshmen on the field. So, not making excuses, not, playing moral victories or nothing, because that's not our standard. That's not our expectation. But, just to know that these young guys are gaining valuable experience. They're getting reps, they're getting better, they're showing development. And, if anything, they're battle tested, which, only playing 2 region games up to this point, and we got 3 more, we're still in a great position to where we can finish with a top 2 seed in the region, host a home playoff game, make some noise in the playoffs. So you never know, how the chips are going to fall later in the season, and it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And we're not even close to finishing yet. So good things for us on down the road. But I know your original question. I ramble all the time. Sometimes you got to cut me off.
That's
and stop
okay.
me. But just to answer your initial question, field conditions, both of us had to play in it.
Yeah.
It did hinder some of the things we wanted to do, but that just falls under that category of when you face an adversity, no matter what it is, outside forces. You got to control what you can control, and you just got to execute and be consistent in what you do. Bad weather, good weather, doesn't matter.
So, Coach Dyer, you touched on it a moment ago. You said Riley was injured Friday night. Is there any update you have for him? I know he's your signal caller, so
yeah, he's fine. He just had a bruised. I know there's some medical jargon in there that I don't know or know how to pronounce, so I'm not going to try to. But he did have to go to the doctor, hospital, whatever. They took some CT scans and all that, and I can't get into other stuff. But everything was good. He should be good to play.
Good.
And I know if our trainer Lee was here, he would probably be somewhere, be like, can't say this, can't say that, can't mention this. So I don't want to get in trouble or fired or.
I look at as I watch the game, Coach Dyer. You talk about the turnovers you guys created, but I look at it. Your average field position starting was around the 40-yard line.
It was, and a lot of that was, one, we had really good kickoff returns. We push the ball upfield, get it around the 40, 45, 50. And then when our defense would cause those turnovers, it would put us in a good plus position where, we had a fairly short field that we had to navigate. It was just, and we didn't have that many penalties. We only had 2 penalties on the night.
Yep.
And we were actually plus in the turnover department. I think we caused 4 turnovers. We had 2 of our own. It was just, not being able to finish drives or sustain drives with that short field. I think we were 0 for 4 on 4th down, which that's kind of been us this year. If we're anywhere close midfield, we're going to use that extra down to try to gain yards where we can move the chains. Not taking anything away from our special teams. Bradley Pickett is, I think he's averaging nearly 30 yards a punt, which is really good for a high school punter. But, the last few years we had Peyton Hicks been our punter, and he was averaging 40 yards a punt, and we use that to our advantage to be able to flip the field, pin people deep. And, with this being Bradley's first year and, we got a young offense, young team, we want to protect our young defense. We want to protect our defense as much as possible, keep them off the field. And, our offense is a little bit more experienced. So anytime that we can gain an extra possession by going for a 4th down around the field, we're going to.
Yeah, and I look at, and I go by, and me and John talked about this earlier, though. You look at your defense. Your defense played a really good ball game against a really good East Rock team, but they had their first drive. They struck quick. They scored. But you pretty much stifled their offense the rest of the night defensively, where, they did put a couple drives together. They scored, but it took them a lot longer to get to the end zone than that first drive, So defensively, I really thought you guys handled a superior, fast team to what you guys have, and handled it really well defensively.
Well, they did. Our defense played, particularly well. And the biggest thing was they just fought hard. They battled, and that's what we ask them to do every week. Just compete, battle, fight hard, don't give up. And they didn't. Outside of 1 or 2 big plays, the big 48-yard touchdown run,
yep.
And all that was just a misalignment. We actually talked about in our film session was, our biggest thing is just the lack of consistency. We sit there the first drive, we fit and fill our gaps exactly the way we need to. We hold them on a couple of runs, and they get a penalty to back them up, and then they pop one big play to get the first down. We get them in a 3rd and long again. They popped another big play. They converted a lot of 3rd downs. We had a hard time getting off the field. I think they converted 4 4th downs, and they converted, I think, 5 of 8 3rd downs. So, we had a hard time getting off the field, but the silver lining is that we made them get to 3rd down. We made them get to 4th down. And, we tell our guys that every week. It's like, make them huddle back up, make them run another play. And, eventually they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But, our guys did battle. They fought hard. And, they prevented a very explosive East Robertson team from scoring a whole lot of points. And, they made them work for every inch. They made them, a very experienced East Robertson team, had a lot of juniors, a lot of seniors, a lot of guys that came back from their state runner-up team last year. An SEC caliber recruit in the Groves kid, who I felt like we handled extremely well. I don't feel like he impacted the game at all. We just lack consistency on our fits and our fields and our alignments. And, that's ultimately what had us give up some big plays throughout the course of the game. It also hurt us too that, after giving up the big run, they had to pick 6. It was a 13-point swing.
Yep.
From that pick 6 well into the 4th quarter, we held them scoreless in the 3rd quarter. And, that long part of the 2nd quarter where we held them scoreless. And, we just couldn't capitalize on our own chances or possessions offensively to close the gap right there. But I was proud of our defense. I was proud of all of our guys, the way they just fought and battled, against the number 1 team in 2A. But I've been proud of our guys all year, the fact that how they just fought hard and played hard and never quit, and they never give up. So that's what I'm proud of, with their grit and, their determination and resiliency to adverse situations.
So, Coach Dyer, you played the number 1 team in 2A last Friday night. It gets easier this week, right?
Yeah.
The number 1 team in 4A.
Yeah, the number 1 team in 4A. There you go. But, that's irrelevant, when you look at it, because we're going to compete regardless, whether it's the number 1 team in 4A, the dead last team in 4A. Those are just numbers on a dadgum chart to us. Whether you win by 50, lose by 50, don't matter. At the end of the day, what you got to do is you got to compete. You got to see improvement. and you just got to fight your tails off. You know, one of the favorite things I heard from Coach Barnhart, which I had never heard when he was here, was each and every week you got to fight like you're the third monkey getting on Noah's Ark and it's about to rain. And I love that. That stuck with me. And, you know, that's what we like to tell our guys too, is like, if you're going to go out there, you know, dig your trenches, dig your foxholes, and, you know, fight like you're that third monkey getting on Noah's Ark and it's about to rain. And, you know, that's what our guys do each and every week. And, you know, whether you're a young guy, old guy, it don't matter. You just fight, get better each week, develop each week, and continue to just not give up and not quit.
And you look at Upperman, and you know we've seen them play. I watched them play the Macon County game, and Upperman's quarterback, he's a stud. He is a stud. You know, what do you go into? What do you look at for film? How do you prepare for a elite player like that going into this week?
Well, you know, the last 4 years I've been here, it's kind of weird. It seems like every week in and week out, we're always preparing for a Mr. Football finalist or Mr. Football winner. So we're actually very experienced at, you know, coaching against and trying to stop very athletic guys. Whether it was at East when we were playing East Nashville, you know, they had the two big receivers that were up for Mr. Football. East Robs had you know, a bunch of running backs up for it. Macon Counties had the Borders kids and all that. So, and of course, Upperman's at the Chaffin kid and the Paulk kid, which, you know, they're very talented, very blessed athletes. And Coach Kane and his staff do a great job developing them and just putting them in successful situations. And, you know, it's not like what they do is very complicated. If, you know, you and me could sit there and watch film of every game they got right here, and you could sit there and say, well, they're going to run quarterback counter, quarterback power, and quarterback sweep. And, you know, that's it. That's what they're going to run, and they know that's what they're going to run. And it's just a matter of you got to stop it. You know, they were down 21-6 against Macon County a few weeks ago, and it was 4th and 6 on their own 30-yard line, and they went for it. And guess what they ran? They ran quarterback counter or quarterback power, and you know, they picked up the first down, and it kind of started a rally for them. So it's not like they're overly complicated. They're just good at what they do, and you know, they trust what they do. They trust their athletes, and like you said, the Chaffin kid is a phenomenal athlete. He's their quarterback. He's 6'6", probably 220 pounds, and he moves like he's 5'8", 150 pounds. And he's got a really good arm, an underrated arm, but he's got athletes all around him. They're big, they're fast. But you know, it is going to be a challenge for us. But you know, it's a challenge that we're ready to take on, and we're ready to compete.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you having us on. Or appreciate you coming on with us. And first night at Noble's. And you know, good luck this Friday night. Let's go get it over.
Well, shoot, Chad, man. Hey, I appreciate y'all having me on, and this is pretty cool and pretty awesome. You know, doing this, I wouldn't mind doing this every week. It's pretty neat. Being out on my porch or in the coach's trailer with my laptop or iPad.
Well, that's our plan. Our plan is to have you here every Sunday night with us. So
shoot, Chad.
Okay. Good luck to you this week, Coach.
Guys, appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Coach Dyer. You know, as we talk about, you know, we know that Coach will have his guys ready to play this week, and you know, the schedule as we talked about, it don't get any easier, right? You leave East Rob, you go to Upperman. You know, it's not going to get any easier from here on out. But you got the Chaffin kid, and I'm sure you know they're going to correct their mistakes, hopefully, and we'll see where we go. And we stepped out of region play, so you know it is a good thing to step out of region play right now and to play these guys.
Well, and you know, you hear him talk. His young players are making plays, and their growth. They're continuing to grow. We've talked about it from episode 1 when week 1 kicked off. We talked about how young a football team that he was going to have. Yeah. But you can tell they're getting better. I mean, East Rob, number 1 team, they come in and you look at the stats, under 300 yards. I know that's kind of the MO, but they're really playing well right now.
Yep. We're going to shift gears to Coach Chuck Gentry. If Coach Chuck Gentry, he's joining us live here tonight too. We'll go to Coach Chuck Gentry, head coach of Lebanon High School. We'll bring Coach up the stage here just for a second. Coach Gentry, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, thanks for coming on, Chuck.
Thank you all for having me.
We appreciate you coming out, and you know, with Chuck, we talked to you a couple times. We know you're local here. You know, we talk about. I go back and I look at where you've been with your career. You know, you started out here as a player at Smith County. Then you come out and you go to Cumberland to play, and then you come back to Smith County as a coach, and you move to Cookeville. Now moving to Lebanon High School. You know, talk about a little bit about your transition of moving. You know, from the college aspect to coaching your first team here, and then now at Lebanon as a head coach.
Well, you know, in 1983, I started as a 7-year-old left guard and weighed 48 pounds with the first ever Carthage Jets. And so for 41 years of my life, it's been about football. And it doesn't matter where you're at or what you're doing, whether it's 6A, 3A, 2A, 1A, whatever. I've got a lot of private school friends too. That football's still oblong and kind of brown and it got laces on it. It bounces the same way no matter where you're at. But it's been a fun road to to play where you grew up, to coach where you grew up. Met a lot of good guys at Cumberland University. I think it's helped me get to where I am. Was fortunate enough to be under Jimmy Maynard at Smith County High School. When he transitioned out, I went with him, which was probably a good move for me to see the rest of the world and get out of Smith County a little bit. And then, wasn't looking to be a head coach. I always thought I could be, but didn't know if I wanted to be or not. And then my wife graduated from Lebanon High School. When that came open, they asked Jimmy Maynard and Gary Rankin if they wanted interested in the job, and they both told them no, but I can tell you somebody you ought to call. And so I got lucky enough to get hired there, and it's been a fun road.
So, Coach, tell us a little bit about how your season's going so far.
Not as good as we'd like. We're 2-4, and like Coach Dyer said, we played some really good teams. We played a 4-2 Antioch team that's got a Division I quarterback, and being sophomore phenom Andre Adams, who's being recruited by a lot of Power 5 guys. Claim to fame, I guess, right now is he's got a Dion offer. So he is a really, really good high school football player. Then we opened, and Coach Dyer talked about Bronston Chaffin, and I will say he is a very good football player. He may be the best football, best basketball, best baseball player in Putnam County. So depending on which sport, which season it is, he's the real deal. He's a really good quarterback, good young man, and is doing a good job leading that program. And then we played Cookville High School, who has a Division I quarterback, and he's going to go to Brown University Ivy League, so he's smart. And then we played Green Hill, who also has a Division I quarterback, and he's a junior and he's got 7 offers right now. So there's a theme to that. If you've got a good quarterback, you're usually playing some good football, and that's true. But we're playing about 8 or 9 sophomores, and don't have too many seniors, and so like I say, we're 2-4. Play a big in-county rivalry game this week with Wilson Central. We're on a 4-game stretch where we went Green Hill, Watertown, Wilson Central, Mount Juliet, so we don't leave Wilson County, and it's neat. Rivalries are fun and good, and so Wilson Central High School came out of Lebanon High School, and so there's a rivalry there, and it'll be a big hard-fought game Friday night.
Yeah, and I look at when you first come on to Lebanon, when I've seen what you've done for the program itself. The program has turned around from when you first got there to where you are now. Your facilities, your locker room, everything that you guys have done it's been a whirlwind, and I know it looks great. I know you feel good about it. Talk about a little bit about what you've done so far.
Well, I took over a program that had won 8 games in 6 years. A lot of people said, "What are you doing? Why are you going to Lebanon?" I sat down and had a long talk with Mark Medley, and knew that there were players at Lebanon High School, but you just had to figure out what buttons to push and what to do. And then when I went for the interview, I think I interviewed them more than they interviewed me, and told them, "This is what people say about Lebanon High School. Tell me about it, and and my principal, Scott Walters, is very hands-off. You run the football program, I run the school. What do you need? How can I help you?" And, we have, I was able to hire the coaches that I want. You mentioned it earlier. I've got my defensive coordinator, Sean Fry, my other co-defensive coordinator, Josh Williams, both played for me. Offensive coordinator, Dusty Brady, played for me. Offensive line coach, Zach Carter, played for me up until this year. Coach Jackson stole him. I'm still not over it. But Justin Angel was our offensive line coach. I had Jamie Angel for a few years till he became granddaddy.
Yep.
And I'm sure I'm probably leaving out somebody, but I've got some Cumberland ties, some Lebanon ties, and the coaching staff really helps me do my job. And then this is the 8th year, but I've had 3 character coaches in there helping us. I mean, we do a lot with book studies. We feed the kids 3 times a week. You know, you love them and they love you back. And like I say, Lebanon High School has been very, very rewarding because the kids, it's more than football.
Yeah, I tell you what I like, Coach, is I see your character building. You do the character building, and I think that is so instrumental in kids these days. And you're doing a great job. I love when I see your Facebook post of all the character building you guys are doing. And kudos to you for doing that, man. That is, to me, that is one of the best things. And I wish every school implemented the same thing.
Well, you know, there's not many Zion Logues that come through, and you know, yeah, I coached him, but I didn't make him 6'6", and I didn't make him 300 and something pounds, and I didn't make him be able to bend and the things, you know. But there's a lot of kids that after high school will never touch a football in their life. But you know, hopefully we're teaching life and being better men, better husbands, better fathers, better sons, better leaders in the community than what they would be without football. And then, you know, hopefully we teach them a little football and win a few games too. But it's very important to me to, when they leave there, to understand what it was all about. Yeah. And yes, I'm very competitive. We played checkers here. I'd want to win. Might even try to cheat you a little bit if I could. But you know, it's those kids need to understand. And like I said, at Lebanon High School, there's a lot of kids that come through there that don't have a lot and don't have a father.
Right.
And so you want to teach them how to be young men and let them understand. You know, sometimes life can kick you in the teeth and you got to get up off the mat. So you can't lay there. But again, all of it has its challenges. But you know, I had coaches that poured into me, and I want to pour in, and my staff wants to pour into these young men.
Coach, tell us a little bit. You got an upcoming game with Wilson Central. Mm-hmm. Tell us what you've seen from them. You know, we got people out there from there. So,
well, they are 2-4, just like we are. Coach Kuhn has done a good job. This is his second year of kind of turn around that program. You know, he's implemented a lot of the stuff that we do. They had book studies and leadership councils and new helmets, new uniforms, you know, slogans, all the things, you know, to try to build the culture.
Yeah.
And but they are they're grit central is what they call themselves, WC, and you know, they have took on the hard hat mentality. Let's go to work and do that. They're a hard-nosed, tough football team. And, you know, that is one thing that we'll have to challenge our kids to meet the physicality, but also do it within the confines of the football game and play between the whistles and not get caught up in the emotions. Let the student sections do all that. And, you know, and again, y'all know how the Smith County-Gordonsville rivalry is, you know, in Wilson County, Lebanon, Wilson Central, Lebanon, Mount Juliet, Lebanon, Green Hill, you know, we played Watertown last week and despite the hurricane, you know, student sections were there, you know, going at it and having fun. So there's a big rivalry, and you know, you have to be able to control what you can control, and our job is to play football and do it the right way. So hopefully we can do that.
So, Coach, how difficult is that? You come from the Smith County-Gordonsville rivalry. Of course, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since you've been there, but it seems like you've got a county rivalry every week. So how difficult is that each week?
Well, it hadn't been too long. My daughter was the cheerleading captain last year, so I was living it. I wasn't this. Actually, I was there.
I meant playing.
Yeah, well, playing. It has been a minute. I don't even think I could make it down the hill and back up the hill now. But you know, it's difficult because these kids put so much into it, and they put their heart and soul into it, and you know, and I tell them about how special it is that you will remember it, the bonds you make. That when we walk out of the blue and white checkerboard and we walk through those police cars and you have blue and white on and you're playing for your community, and we don't have the name on the back, we have the name on the front, and we have tried to reach into the past of Lebanon. And so it is a big deal, and you don't want to let those people down. But then again, you know, you're also a 14 to 18-year-old kid that is very emotional, and sometimes it don't go your way. Sometimes it does go your way. You know, Friday night we won a game, and our kids were wanting to run and slide through the mud, and I wouldn't let them. And so I'm the no fun police. And I was like, well, just think if it was on our field
Right.
and we had won, what would you? And I said, we understand. But, kids, how it is. Knee jerk reaction. What am I going to do? Somebody says something, I'm going to say something back. Somebody pushes me, I'm going to push them back. Or somebody, I make a big play. I see Alabama's guy do the little dance last night. I want to do the dance.
Yep.
I'm sure I'll probably have a kid come in with painted fingernails this week because that wide receiver had painted
He
fingernails.
did, yeah.
But it's hard to control. It is very hard to control, and there's a fine line between having fun, being physical, and playing football versus the extracurriculars, and that's what you have to teach them. And sometimes those lessons come very hard learned.
And last question for me here, Coach. We talked about the rivalry aspect of games, and as Jonathan mentioned, it's every 4 weeks in a row for you guys. What do you talk to the kids about when it comes in? Because you get up for a rivalry game. Kids get up, and then that game's over with. They come back down. How do you get them right back up the next week? How do you get them ready for that next rivalry game that's intercounty?
Well, it depends. It depends on what happened on Friday night.
Right.
Last week we lost to Green Hill, 28-28 at halftime. Played really well. We went into halftime, talked about it, and didn't have much to say, much adjustments. Hey, keep playing, keep fighting. And then the second half, you're like, somebody popped a balloon. And we didn't have the same juice, didn't execute. And so Monday, we were talking about how do we not have that letdown? And then, some weeks you go in and, we're a 6-18 playing Watertown, who's a 3-18, who had won one game. But they were coming off their first win. It's a game that we were supposed to win.
Right.
But then you start thinking, all right, well, hurricane, rain, wind, what all is going to happen? And I'm just glad it wasn't in my place, so I didn't have to decide when are we playing, what are we not, any of that stuff. I just told Coach Webster, tell me, and I'll be there. And so, but then it's all right. You have to control what you can control. It's going to be wet, and so I was very proud of how we embraced that. But now, after winning that game, it'll be like, all right, we won, but look at this mistake, look at that mistake. We got to keep getting better, and we have gotten better every week. The record doesn't necessarily show it, but you got to keep building and keep learning lessons and keep doing those things. And for seniors, you got 4 left.
Yeah.
Don't waste a day.
Right.
And they don't understand it. They're kids. But when it's all over, they'll look at you and say, why didn't I listen? So you have to each little group, it's a little different message. And that's the thing. Why did I say that? Why didn't I say that? And it's hard trying to manage the mental part of dealing with a 14 to 18-year-older. But I try to think back of how I was, which I felt I was pretty grounded. But when Pat Dyer talked half the time, was I listening? Yes, I was, but was I really intently
Right.
listening? I probably wasn't if he's yelling at me, but it's just one of those things, and it's hard. So I also try to let them be kids, be kids. And I know on Friday nights, if you put on the helmet and most of them are ready to go for the most part, you just got to dial it in at that time.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you having you on, and you're doing a great job at Lebanon. I hear nothing but great things.
Yep.
You're a great man. You're turning kids' lives around, and this area is better when Lebanon is good, and they're good. You have turned on a great program.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for having me, and thank you for all that you're doing. High school sports is about kids,
It is.
And thank y'all for supporting kids in Smith County and Wilson County for sure.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate you coming on.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Coach.
Man, it's just so exciting to hear, another voice, coming. His roots are here.
Yes.
His roots are here,
Yes,
and what he's doing in Lebanon is fantastic.
it is.
And I have heard so many great things about. 10 years ago, the Lebanon program was nothing.
Right.
Just a lot of trash, a lot of not good things happening down there, and I don't hear that now. I hear nothing but good, positive things coming out of that program.
Yeah, and I go back and I talk about the character building that Coach Gentry's doing, man. To me, it's a great. You put that into your program, you're going to get a lot better kids and a lot better men in the community afterwards.
Absolutely.
We thank Coach Gentry for coming on, and we're going to shift gears here now and bring Kaylee Plumley in, who's a Gornsville High School softball senior and Tennessee commit. Kaylee, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for coming on with us, Kaylee.
Thank you.
So Kelly, we brought you in. We want to talk about a little bit about you and your season, you know, and what you're looking forward to, and congratulations first off for committing to the University of Tennessee.
That means a lot.
So we'll talk about, you know, we had Abby on last week, and we talked about her and you guys being back-to-back state champions. You know, not many programs, whether it be 1A all the way to 6A, can say, hey, I have been a back-to-back state champion. So congratulations on that. And what are you looking forward to this year?
Just preparing to play at the next level. Most of y'all may know so it's been hard. Been sitting out this long. So I'm excited to get back. This year we have a new people on our team that are we've been working during our open.
So, Kaylee, can you tell us a little bit about what is upcoming for you this season?
It's for me. Just I mean, just a, I mean.
Having a little technical difficulty.
Unspoken. So, can y'all hear?
Can you hear her?
Can y'all?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out of something, Kelly.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think we're. But like I said, our goal is unspoken towards that all season.
Yeah, and we're going back and looking at some of your stats throughout your high school career, and I looked at your stats and I'm like, wow, you know, this is a player that started in 8th grade and you're now a junior or officially be a senior, and your strikeout to walk ratio is mind-boggling to me. Because if I ain't mistaken, I counted up you had over 1,300 strikeouts total, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was right. You know what have you done to make your craft better? I know you do a lot of travel ball. I'm sure you do private lessons, but what do you do to be the pitcher you are?
To be the pitcher I am, it's more of like a mentality. Every time I step on the field, like I'm better than you, I'm gonna beat you, no matter what. So obviously that's good, but
So, Caleb, being a UT commit, what are you looking forward to going up to there?
I'm excited just to be playing at the highest level. Not many people get the opportunity to do that. So just just at the level and just be a volunteer.
Yeah, and I'm going back and looking at some of your accolades again. You know, we talk about honors, and it's never an individual. You're a team player. We know that, but if you go back, you look, all district MVP in the 8th grade, all district MVP in the 9th grade, all district MVP in the 10th grade. You know, probably I think all district MVP in the 11th grade. You know, you've been all mid-state, you've been all state. You know. So kudos to you for what you do. And like I said, I know it's a team game, and I know you wouldn't do anything or you can't do anything with all the players around you. But congratulations on your season, what you've accomplished so far. And I can't wait to see what you guys do this year, and hopefully to go catch that 3rd straight championship.
Yes. We're working hard for it, so.
And Kaylee, thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you for having us.
Kelly, we appreciate it, and thank you once again, and congratulations on what you've accomplished so far, and good luck on this season. And when softball season starts, we're going to have all you guys back on with us again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. When I get feedback in my ear, it messes with me.
Yeah, that's okay. And we know Kaylee had a little
Yes.
technical difficulties there too. But if you look at her stats, we talk about it. It's a team sport, but going for softball kind of rolls the way Kaylee rolls. And if she's pitching good, the team's rolling good. And then you got, what we talked about last week, you got Abby Brinkley and then Bailey Stewart who catches for her. It's just to see Kaylee's pitching stats though in 1A is tremendous.
Well, and 1,300 strikeouts. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, I don't care what level you're playing at, the smallest level to the best level, even in the professional level.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is amazing, and her walk to strikeout ratio was pretty amazing to how many strikeouts she had to her walks. And then you add on top of that her batting stats. Her batting stats have tripled and doubled every year, where she hit 20 some odd home runs last year. So now you think she's on the mound, she pitches to you, but do you pitch to her? You don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and we had Abby on last week, and you saw Abby's stats improve each and every year. And Kaylee's the same way. And sky's the limit for both of those young girls. I look forward to, and Bailey the same way. I look forward to having her on as well to talk about her signing. But man, just back to Kaylee. I mean, a UT commit from this small town.
Yeah.
Kudos to her.
I mean, kudos. You're right, and kudos to Coach Bush too. Coach Bush is running a heck of a program. We talked with Abby about it last week, and Coach Bush is, he's reloaded every year, But you've got a guy like Kayla who's played since the 8th grade, and now going into her senior year, man, he's got to be the favorite for 1A right now.
Oh, absolutely. And he doesn't shy away from competition. The higher competition, I feel like maybe don't want to come down here and play them, because they know what to expect when they come down here. They expect a top-tier program that Jonathan has built. I cannot wait to have him on to talk about, his upcoming season. But man, you're right. They have to be the favorite coming up to this season.
Well, we made it through our first live episode here at No Bells. Once again, a little technical difficulties with Kaylee there, but overall, I think first run was pretty good. We had a little live audience come in with us, So what we want to do here too is we got to bring up our third member of our team, guys, that don't get a lot of recognition that's doing behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
So Matthew Andrew, come on up here and have a little conversation with us for a minute.
So this is the producer of the Dugout Dads podcast, Matthew Enyard. Matthew, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I live in Rome with my wife Stephanie. We got 2 boys, Cooper and Cole, and work for State of Tennessee Park Transportation IT, and also county commissioner. And I just love to be here and do stuff for the kids.
When we sit there, when the Dugout Dads idea come to me, me and Jonathan talked about it. It was like, who can we find that can be a quote unquote producer of our show? And then without me knowing, you being a producer of the Tiger Football Booster Club, live free they do on Friday night, and then their coaches show on Saturday mornings, I was like, let's call Matthew Enyard. And, kudos to you. Thank you for coming on with us, dude. We appreciate it. We appreciate everything you've done, and we hope that you stay with us and we build this thing out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to have you and be with you and see what we can do with this.
So once again, for me and for Jonathan, thank everybody for our listeners tonight. We had a pretty good look at a pretty good live broadcast. We had quite a few guys on live, and we couldn't see the comments tonight, so we hope you commented. And Jonathan, thank you once again. We can't wait to do this again next Sunday night. So every Sunday night, we got to do it live from No Bells. Oh, before we leave, we have to do our T-shirt giveaway.
Yes.
We need to do our T-shirt giveaway, and I think, Mr. Enyard, I think if you're not mistaken, you drew a name for us, and tell us who our winner is tonight.
Colby Deadman.
Colby Deadman, you are a winner of our Dugout Dads T-shirt. I'll message you privately, and we'll get your shirt size, and we'll get with you and get a shirt for you. And we meant to give all the coaches a shirt tonight before they left, and we just forgot to do that. But that's one thing we forgot.
That'll keep them coming back for next week.
That'll keep them coming back for next week. So once again, for the Dugout Dads, we appreciate it. We appreciate all the live people we had on tonight, where our skills are questionable,
but our spirit is unstoppable.